In our nonstop modern world, it's so easy to feel completely lost in the noise, isn't it? But what if the path to clarity wasn't about finding something new, but about rediscovering ancient wisdom? Well, today we're going to explore some really powerful Japanese philosophies that are essentially a guide for our journey through life.
Welcome to the Know and Go series.
Do you ever just feel like you're treading water, constantly being pulled in a dozen different directions? If you're looking for a way to get your feet back on solid ground and just feel a little more centered, well, these ideas might be exactly what you've been searching for. So our journey today is going to be broken down into three main parts. First, we'll lay the groundwork, building up our foundations for resilience. Then we'll look at some actual practices for being more present in the moment. And finally, we'll chart a course toward finding a real path to purpose. Okay, first up, mindset. These first few concepts are all about shaping that inner strength, that perspective we need to handle all the inevitable ups and downs that life throws at us.
Let's start with Wabi-sabi. In a world that is just obsessed with perfection, Wabi-sabi is this beautiful art of embracing the imperfect. Think about a favorite old book with its pages all worn, or a handmade ceramic bowl that isn't perfectly round. It's about seeing the beauty in things that are flawed and temporary. And when you do that, it just releases this constant, exhausting pressure to be flawless yourself.
Now, building on that idea of acceptance, we get this really powerful two-step approach for dealing with adversity. The first part is about recognizing and truly accepting the things that are completely out of your hands. And the second part? That's about enduring the challenges that are left with real strength and patience. Let's dig into the actual terms for these.
So the first concept is shogunai. It roughly translates to, it cannot be helped. But wait, this isn't about being passive or just giving up, not at all. It's actually a really strategic choice to stop wasting your precious energy fighting things you absolutely cannot change, so you can pour all of that focus into the things you can actually influence. It's really about choosing your battles wisely.
And that is exactly where Gammon comes into play. Once you've used shogunai to accept what's out of your control, Gammon is the practice of enduring the hard stuff with dignity and self-control. It's not about bottling up your emotions, but about managing your own reactions and just moving forward with patience, even when it's really, really tough. Okay, so we've got the mindset right, but how do we actually bring that into our hectic daily lives? This next section is all about tangible, real-world practices for finding that calm right here in the now. First, we have Sharinyoku, or forest bathing. This is the perfect antidote to our screen-obsessed lives, and it's not about some intense hike or workout. It's simply about being in nature. The whole point is to just soak in the environment with all your senses, the sounds, the smells, the colors, and just let it quiet all that noise rattling around in your head. For a more internal journey, there's Zazen. This is a kind of seated meditation where the goal isn't to force your mind to be empty. Instead, you learn to just observe your thoughts like they're clouds passing in the sky. You notice them, and then you just let them go, with absolutely no judgment. It's such a powerful way to break free from those endless worry cycles. Now, if sitting perfectly still feels like a huge challenge, Ikebana offers a path to mindfulness through creativity. This is the Japanese art of flower arranging. By focusing so intently on the harmony, the space, and the sheer beauty of what you're creating, your mind becomes too absorbed to dwell on anxieties. You are literally creating calm by creating something beautiful. And finally, a beautifully simple technique, Nenbutsu. This is simply the practice of repeating a sacred phrase or a mantra over and over. That repetition acts like an anchor for your mind. It gives your restless thoughts a single, peaceful place to focus, gently pulling you out of an anxious spiral and back into the present moment. So, we've worked on building resilience, and we've practiced being present. Our final section here is all about the long game, how to cultivate a life that's full of meaning, growth, and fulfillment. At the very heart of this section is Ikigai. And this is a big one. This is your reason for getting up in the morning, your whole reason for being. It's not just about what makes you happy for a moment, it's about finding that deeper sense of direction and meaning in your life. What makes Ikigai so powerful is just how practical it is. It's not some vague, out-of-reach goal. It's found right at the intersection of four key questions. What do you love doing? What are you good at? What does the world need? And what can you actually get paid for? Your purpose, your Ikigai, is right there in that sweet spot where all four of those things overlap. So once you have that direction, how do you actually move toward it? Well, the answer is Kaizen, or continuous improvement. This isn't about making massive, overwhelming changes. It's a philosophy of making small, consistent, positive steps in everything you do. Your work, your skills, even your relationships. It's all about the power of that 1% better everyday mindset. And the process itself is just beautifully simple. You identify one little area for improvement, you make one tiny incremental change, you see what happens, and then you just repeat the process. Over time, all these tiny, manageable steps start to compound into huge, lasting progress. The focus is always on progress, not perfection. This idea of gradual improvement leads us perfectly to the concept of mastery. And the journey to get there is actually mapped out in this model called Shu Ha Ri, which outlines 3 very distinct stages of learning any new skill. First, in the Shu stage, you follow the rules. You copy the master, you learn the fundamentals inside and out. Then, in the Ha stage, you start to break the rules a little. You experiment and innovate. And finally, in Ri, you transcend the rules completely. You've absorbed the knowledge so deeply that you can create your very own way. There's a well-known saying that just perfectly captures the essence of that final Ri stage. It suggests that the ultimate goal isn't to be a follower forever, but to internalize the lessons so completely that you actually become your own master. And the absolute peak of this mastery is a state called mushin, or mind without mind. You probably know it as being in the zone or in a flow state. It's when your actions become so effortless and intuitive that you're just doing without conscious thought, completely free from fear or ego. It's the beautiful destination that all this presence and practice can lead to. You know, when you put it all together, you can see these ideas aren't just separate concepts. They form a complete toolkit for life. You build a resilient mindset by embracing imperfection. You ground yourself with daily practices for presence, and you direct all that energy toward a life of purpose and continuous growth. So, as we wrap up, I want you to think, which one of these ideas really spoke to you? Was it the permission to be imperfect from Wabi-sabi, the steady progress of Kaizen, or maybe the peace of Shirin-yoku? I'd really encourage you to just pick one to carry with you today. Thank you for listening to this Know and Go episode.